The Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, about Dajjal, that he would ride on a donkey, and the donkey would travel as fast as the clouds, and the donkey would have his ears stretched out wide. My opinion, which I hope you will share with me, is that that donkey is already here in the world. This is religious symbolism with which we began the lecture. The donkey is the modern aircraft. And since the Antichrist brings with him the modern aircraft, the Antichrist commands the skies. You cannot compete with him or rival him in power in the skies above. He said that the Antichrist will step into the ocean and the water would reach him up to his knee. Again, I want to suggest to you that we are dealing with religious symbolism here. It is not to be understood literally as a donkey. It is not to be understood literally as a man who is a few miles tall. Rather, it is the technology which allows you to go down to the bottom of the ocean and pick up pieces of an aircraft which crashed and reassemble the aircraft 95%. That technology is in the world today. The Antichrist would be jumping about between the heavens and the earth. Jumping about, said the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. Again, I want to suggest to you that this is not to be interpreted literally, that we are dealing with religious symbolism. It refers to our modern exploration of the heavens above. The satellites that go around the earth and the shuttle aircrafts that go up and down. In fact, in all of these we see pointers towards a scientific and technological revolution which would sweep the world. And the mastermind behind that scientific and technological revolution is the Antichrist. He said that the earth would yield its treasures to Dajjal. Now, go back home and study British history, as I am doing now, and you would see that the scientific and technological revolution was led by the island of Britain at every significant step of the way. The earth would yield its treasures to Dajjal. Last year, my wife and I visited the city of Kimberley in South Africa. Kimberley is famous for its diamonds, the Kimberley diamonds. Somewhere around the middle of the 19th century, a little African child was playing and discovered a stone that was sparkling. The child took the stone back to his father. The father took the stone to the European Commissioner. the European commissioner sent the stones to Johannesburg, and when they examined the stone, they found that it was one of the biggest diamonds that had ever been discovered. And that was the trigger that now led to the exploration for diamond and gold in southern Africa. But it was British technology at work to discover the diamond veins deep down in the earth. Without that British technology, you could not have done it. And then they began to dig these huge man-made holes. And in Kimberley, we saw the biggest one of all. My wife and I stood at the edge of this big hole. Big hole. You could put a couple aircraft down inside there. And way down at the bottom of the hole, way down deep inside the earth, they went and they mined the diamonds. Out of that Kimberley diamond mine, they extracted, a wheelbarrow? Well, there were 5 wheelbarrows at the side of the mine there, and they were filled with plastic nuggets. And this was meant to show us how many diamonds were mined at Kimberley before the mine was closed down in 1914. All of that effort of digging this big hole in order to get 5 wheelbarrows filled of diamonds. In 1914, the stage was set. The Zionist movement had taken control of the diamond mines of South Africa and used a man named Cecil John Rhodes as a front man. The Rothschild Bank of Europe, a Jewish bank, financed him. And they were able to harvest all those diamonds and then use the sale of those diamonds to build up a war chest. So by 1914, they could close it down. I want you to recognize that Britain was the leader of the world in the technology which led to all of this. The Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam, the Dajjal, the age of Dajjal or the Antichrist would also be the age of riba. Riba, one form of riba, is borrowing and lending money on interest. But another form of riba is a transaction based on deception, which yields a profit or a gain to which one is not justly entitled. In other words, what the Americans call a rip-off. Today, the whole world, the economy around the world, is in the grip of riba or usury. But notice that the modern riba economy originated from Britain. It is the Bank of England, which was established at the end of the 17th century. The Bank of England, which began the effort, which spearheaded the effort for the establishment of today's modern riba economy. Not only through lending and borrowing on interest, Britain became the money lender of the world. But more than that, to substitute real money with paper money. It is Britain, whose Bank of England, at the end of the 17th century, who began to issue the first paper currency. And once you begin to issue paper currency, your capacity for establishing a riba economy is now tremendously enhanced. But we have a lecture on this subject coming up, Islam and the International Monetary System. The Prophet said, sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam, that the last people to come out to Dajjal, or the Antichrist, will be women. The last people to come out to Dajjal or the Antichrist will be women. And a man would have to return to his home and tie down his wife and sister and daughter to protect and preserve them from Dajjal, the Antichrist. Indicating that when Dajjal's mission is close to its climax, something strange is going to sweep the world of women. That they are going to be deceived, utterly deceived. That what would appear to them to be the road to progress, which they will eagerly grasp and embrace, what would appear to them to be a revolution in the world of women, the likes of which mankind never witnessed before, would in fact be Dajjal's deception. I believe you will share with me the view that the prophecy of the blessed Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is today being unfolded in the modern feminist revolution and its so-called struggle for women's liberation. That also is a topic which is coming up in our series of lectures. But do you know that Britain, the island of Britain, initiated and led the feminist revolution? I present all of this information to you to argue the case that the island in the hadith of Tamim ad-Dari is the island of Britain.